Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. Today's topic that we are going to address is if we truly believe that the Philadelphia 76ers are contenders and if they will finally make that highly anticipated finals run we've been waiting for. Because when we talk about the Philadelphia 76ers throughout the years since Joel Embiid has been there, the best they could do is just be a second round out. I mean, if you talk about the best team that they've had, probably with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, that team was only good enough to make the second round. But in an alternate universe, if Kawhi Leonard does not hit that game-winning Game 7 shot, maybe Philadelphia wins it all. But yeah, ever since then, I mean, all they could do is a second round now. And we're waiting for the process to finally be fulfilled. Will this year finally be the year? Because in my eyes and my perspective, this team is the best team since that Jimmy Butler team. It's very well built around Joel Embiid. James Harden is looking good, looking healthy, looking more athletic than years before. Tobias Harris is having a solid year. Tyrese Maxey is continuing to grow. This team is very solid. And when we just talk about how they are doing throughout the year, they're second in the Eastern Conference at 30-16. They're 10-2 in their last 12. And since the start of December, they have been the best team in the Eastern Conference at 18-16. And in terms of where they rank offensively and defensively, they're 7th in offensive rating and 4th in defensive rating. So they're getting it done on both ends. But yeah, I mean, this is a very good team. And when we talk about just the league, the Eastern Conference, let's talk about the Eastern Conference first. For the most part, the narrative has been it's been like a two-team race, Boston and Milwaukee. But honestly, in my eyes, the Eastern Conference is still pretty open. And Philly, they've been under the radar. They've been underrated, mostly due to their track record in the past. Not many people are really buying stock into them or believing them, which is understandable. And when we just talk about the league as a whole, it's the most open it's been in a while. So anyone can really make it out. And Philly, this is a team that is built for the playoffs, I think. Let's talk about the head of the snake, Joel Embiid. My golly. He's putting up another insane MVP campaign. Whether you or not you think he's the MVP, that's for another video. But his numbers are crazy. He's tied for leading the league in scoring at 33.6 points. He's averaging 9.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists. He's 6th in blocks at 1.7. In his efficiency, it's been beautiful as always. 53.7 from the field, 35.2 from 3, and 85.6 from the free throw line. That adds up to 64.4 true shooting percentage. He has scored at least 35 or more points 22 times, which leads the league. He had one of the greatest games of all time, literally, against Utah. He had 59 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocks, and 1 steal, shooting 68% from the field. I mean, he was dominating on both ends. And according to Basketball Reference, it was literally the 9th best individual game of all time. It's starting to sound like Joel Embiid MVP propaganda. I did not mean for it to be that way. But he's just being dominant on both ends, and we should give him his flowers. Because when we talk about Joel Embiid as an offensive scoring machine, he has the biggest bag, to put it simple. I mean, he can score on all 3 levels. You can't really stop him down low in the post because he's too strong. But if you try to just put a brick wall there, he can still do a post fade. And then he has the mid post. He can get into the mid range. He has that left hand hezzy pull. He can go into a spin. He's so fluid with the ball. I mean, he moves like a guard. Like the way his ball handling package, in my eyes, like I've never seen a big man his height and his girth move the way he is moving. It's just so smooth. Like I literally enjoy watching him play basketball. So I mean, Joel Embiid on all 3 levels, we've never seen a center like him, and he's putting up another insane MVP campaign, like I said. And he's also a very underrated passer too. So shout out to Joel Embiid. And a lot of people will say he's a foul baiter, but honestly, it takes skill, I would say, to get fouls. No, honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the refs calling it. But Joel Embiid, like, he knows how to just get calls, so just deal with it. But yeah, also on the defensive end, I mean, I think that obviously he's putting up this MVP campaign, but also we're not talking about him that much as being a defensive player of the year candidate, because honestly he is. He's one of the best defensive big men, one of the best defenders right now in the league. I mean, he's obviously a good rim protector. He's a good safety, and he's good in the pick and roll. He's good in pick and roll defense. He has the offense thinking when they're in that pick and roll action, when usually the offense should always be at the advantage when it's pick and roll. James Harden and the Joel Embiid pick and roll, it's been probably the most dominant action, or one of the most dominant actions in the league, because they're just so unstoppable. And after playing, I think it's been roughly a year since they've been together already, and they just look so good together. The chemistry is so good. It gives easy looks to not only Joel Embiid and James Harden, but to other guys, because obviously those two, they demand a lot of attention, a lot of gravity. But having James Harden as that pick and roll handler, he knows how to navigate the screens. He knows how to look for open guys, make good reads. Arguably, you can say James Harden is having his best playmaking year. I mean, the stats say it. I mean, he's leading the league in assists at 11.2. But if you just watch him, he's making nice, crisp reads. In terms of his averages, he's averaging 21.5 points. Like I said, he's leading the league in assists at 11.2, 6.5 rebounds, and he's been very efficient. Even though he's been taking that back seat to Joel Embiid, I mean, you have to. Joel Embiid, like I said, is an MVP candidate. Even though he's been taking less shots, he's been efficient with the shots he takes. He's 44.7% from the field, 38% from three, and 86.8% from the free throw line, which is 61% true shooting. And also another thing about James Harden this year is that he has a more diverse shot diet. He's getting a lot of his shots in the mid-range, or more of his shots in the mid-range, I would say. And when you compare that to the years before, and with Houston, where he was only shooting threes, only step back threes, pull up threes off the pick and roll, James Harden has been getting to the mid-range, and it's been very useful, because in the playoffs especially, you need to be able to score on three levels. You just can't be predictable and always shoot from three. And James Harden is showing the ability. And in terms of the number of it, this year, 18.7% of his shots are from pull-up mid-ranges. That's the highest it's been since 2016, which was 23.2%. So it's been good seeing James Harden. I mean, obviously with James Harden, he controls the game, controls the pace. James Harden does a good job of either speeding up the game, slowing down the game. It's James Harden. And when we just talk about the other players surrounding those two, if we start with Tyrese Maxey, now he's coming off the bench, and it looks better, because what we've talked about the 76ers in the beginning of the year was like their lack of bench depth, really. They did not really have any scoring off the bench. And now that you're putting Tyrese Maxey as a sixth man, you can stagger their minutes. You can stagger his minutes with Joel Embiid and James Harden. And with the bench, he can have more touches, more looks. He can be the main offensive player in the second unit. I think it works best for both. And now they've put Anthony Melton in the starting lineup, and he's been solid. You know, just a solid 3-and-D offensive initiator, a guy who can be an outlet when James Harden or Joel Embiid is being doubled. Been solid. But yeah, let's go back to Tyrese Maxey. When we talk about his game, he had his best game after coming off that injury against Sacramento the other night, where he had 32 points, 6 assists. They were down by 21 with 3 minutes left in the second. And in the third quarter, he scored 15 of his 32 points in that third quarter to lead the comeback. And that was without Joel Embiid and James Harden. He's been looking really good. And when we talk about his averages, he's averaging 21 points, 3.8 assists. And in the games that he's not starting, they're 4-1. So this is probably going to be a thing for the rest of the season. Tyrese Maxey, I like the way he scores. He's so fast. He knows how to initiate contact mid-air and still finish. Obviously, he's a good shooter. Defensively, he's been getting better. And then Tobias Harris. I mean, the narrative with Tobias Harris has kind of been like he's been overpaid. But when you throw the overpaid thing out the way, he's been having a really solid season, averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds on really good efficiency. And he's been giving good defense too. And then just like other guys on their bench, Shake Milton, Georges Niang, they've been very dependable for this team. Shake Milton's averaging about 10 points, give you good scoring. Defensively, he's still like a question mark, but looks confident out there. We'll get into the mid-range. Georges Niang just looks confident out there. He's shooting about like 45% from three, something like that. He's shooting 42% from three. He's looking confident out there. I mean, he's the minivan. So yeah, PJ Tucker is just like, he's just kind of there. I mean, he could give you the defense. Obviously, that's why he's there. But offensively, you want him to be a threat You know, you want him to shoot better. I think the only hole in this team really is just the big man depth. I mean, you have Montrezl Harrell, you have B-ball Paul Reed. But, I mean, Montrezl Harrell plays the bulk of that backup minutes, or when Joel Embiid's out, he'll play in that starting center minutes. I mean, he'll have some games where he'll go off, but for the most part, he's still a cone defensively. Offensively, it's inconsistent. Some games he might have 17, but most of the time, you're going to see him score 6 to 8 points. I would say they would need to upgrade there. I mean, the name that's been flying around everywhere, Jakob Poeltl, however you want to say it. I don't know. I think it would be a good fit for this team. What would the package look like? Montrezl Harrell in a second. I don't know how much they could give for that. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see them upgrade the backup center minutes, especially when Joel Embiid is out. So another thing that's important to note is that when we look at strength of schedule through these first 46, 47 games, the Philadelphia 76ers have had the second easiest strength of schedule, right behind the Los Angeles Clippers. And when we look at the remaining strength of schedule, they have the hardest schedule in that next half. So you can definitely make the argument that the Philadelphia 76ers are just doing their job and taking advantage of their schedule. And two things could happen going into the next half. Either they get worse because their strength of schedule is harder and they just start losing games, or they take that momentum they've built, the rhythm they've built from the first half of the season, and bring it into that second part of the season and are able to beat those tougher teams. We're definitely going to see what type of team this Philadelphia team is. It can certainly define them. I mean, we never know. So we're just going to have to monitor Philadelphia going into this next part. Offensively, they can attack you in any way. Defensively, like I said, they're fourth in defensive rating, so they can hold their own on there. The 76ers just got to be healthy. James Harden just has to be healthy. But yeah, I like what I've seen from the Sixers. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, subscribe, comment what you guys think about the 76ers. Do you think that they're going to make it out the East? Are they sleeper contenders? Let me know down below. But like I always say in my videos, my first name is Emilio, but middle name is Lawrence, and I like hoops. If you like hoops too, subscribe to it too. Until next time, peace.